Good morning, folks from central Pennsylvania. Receiving a letter of ineligibility is clearly a distressing situation, frustrating for people who are seeking refugee status in the United States. Unfortunately, there are people who will mislead you, and there are people who will create every conspiracy theory under the sun to claim that this isn't real. The letters that went out on June 30th, 2026, dated 23 June 2026, were genuine. They did come from U.S. Customs Immigration Service. People are latching on to anything possible to say it's not real. There are some people out there with Pollyanna syndromes that will mislead people because they're eternally optimistic. I'm not a pessimist, but I deal in facts. The letters which went out are signed digitally by Kevin Grigsby, Director of the Refugee, Asylum, and International Operations Directorate at USCIS. Now, some Pollyannas have said that he's not the director anymore. Well, I can find no evidence to refute that he's a director. There are some other names, and perhaps people are confusing things. For instance, the director of USCIS is not Kevin Grigsby. That's his boss, which is Joseph Edlow. Joseph Edlow is the director of USCIS. But the office that sends out the ineligible letters is not USCIS. It's its Directorate of Asylum, International Refugee, Asylum, and International Operations Directorate, RIO. Now, the associate director, in other words, the subordinate to Grigsby's position, is Ted Kim, and he's been there since April 2022. Unfortunately, the organizational charts, the US.gov site for USCIS, are blocked, and you can't access them. But basic research will indicate that Kevin Grigsby is the director. So if he's not the director, those spreading the conspiracy theory, claiming this is all fraud and these aren't real letters, then please explain how it is that those who previously received an conditional approval letter, and subsequently received an ineligibility letter on the 30th of June, how their letters, one from October of last year with a conditional approval and a family waiting to come over, only to get a denial on 30 June 2026, both letters signed by the exact same person, Kevin Grigsby, from October of 2025 and June of 2026. Additionally, both letters include the same refugee case number, exact same number, and the exact same people. So in order to believe that this is some grand conspiracy or these letters are fraudulent, you would have to believe that someone inside the U.S. government working at U.S. Customs and Immigration Service is intentionally breaking the law and randomly sending letters out to people they don't know in South Africa to destroy their chances of coming over as refugees. If that's true, several federal laws have been broken. Several federal laws. Does it seem plausible to you that this is happening? I submit it doesn't seem plausible. A number of refugees are giving lots of reasons why they think they've got denial or ineligibility. As I've said before, many of these cases have probably been piling up. And my analysis is that likely this needed legal review. I've seen it in the military. I've seen it in government. You don't simply take action. You turn to the lawyer. Are we complying with the law? Is this legit? Can we do this? And sometimes that takes a while, particularly when the refugee program was suspended last year, and then Trump issued an executive order opening one up for South Africans. Probably took time. And these people, including those who had conditional approvals, something probably arose at some point between the time of the conditional approval and those who never got it anyway, and now. And at some point since last year, I'm suspecting from October all the way up until now, these cases were denied internally, but that wasn't released. And people have been asking all along, why wasn't it released? Well, I suspect now, and I have for a few weeks, that it's because of legal review. I could be incorrect, but it's the most plausible explanation. They simply didn't hold on to these for spite. What advantage would USCIS gain by holding all these letters until now? Nothing. In fact, it's quite the opposite. People who dispose of things and prepare to leave are simply going to be angry and now speak poorly of the program, some of them. There's no advantage for USCIS to be gained here. And what advantage would some leftist who hates white South Africans gain by doing this? There are over 7,000 South Africans who have already come to America, and we'll soon see, in a matter of a couple of days after the 4th of July celebration for the Americans' 250th anniversary, which is what I'm wearing tonight, we'll soon see the latest figures for those who came over in June, which will be beyond 7,000 at this stage. Why would this number of people be held back by someone that had spite? It doesn't make any sense. Again, for the Pollyannas or those suffering from Pollyanna syndrome of ever optimistic and misleading people, you're not helping people. You're harming people, holding out hope. Number one, the letter is an ineligibility letter. The U.S. government has no obligation whatsoever to tell you why you're not eligible. Ineligibility can come from your social media conduct. Did you violate your non-disclosure statement after being interviewed or meeting with the U.S. government and blab all over Facebook or X about your interviews and the places you're being interviewed? Remember the Rada Wood meet? Remember that? Did you do that? That makes you ineligible. Do you have a past conviction that you misled the government about or forgot about? Do you have frequent drug use? These are things that could prevent you from coming over. It makes you ineligible. So it's an ineligibility letter, and the government has no obligation to tell you. That's unfair and that's cold, but that is, unfortunately, the sad reality. So they don't have to tell you. Also, there's no right to appeal whatsoever. They rescinded that right several months ago. And now I suspect that was in anticipation of so many letters going out simultaneously. I don't know the number of letters. I am aware of at least 126, assuming the people who answer my poll when I report on this on the 30th were telling the truth, 126 denials. And I've received a bunch of emails since then from people asking for help with their denials. So my estimation is I'm suspecting at least 500 of these letters probably went out. I have no empirical evidence for that. That's just an estimate. It could be more. I'm just saying about 500. I mean, not everybody watches my program, so I'm basing it off of, the number of people I suspect have applied and using some reasonable, regression analysis to figure this out. Anyway, the point here is that you have no right to appeal, unfortunately. You will not find out why you were denied or given an ineligibility letter. And that's unfortunate, that's sad. But for people who are Pollyannas running around ever optimistic and telling you that this is fraud, don't sweat it, they're giving you false hope. And false hope is not helpful. Living on false hope is not helpful. And it's unfair and it's cruel. Some people won't like that I'm making this video and telling you the truth. And you don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me. You can hold on to that false hope. And I hope you're right. But my role here is to be objective and be honest with you. And that's what I do each and every day. And the reality here is that these letters are genuine. And these are the people at USCIS. And you can't appeal it. And it's cold, but it's real. Some people respect the truth. Others just can't handle the truth. And some people will consistently mislead you, regardless of what the situation is. That's not something I do to people. That's immoral and bankrupt. And I feel bad for those who got a letter of denial, but it wasn't done willy-nilly. The U.S. government found something, and that gave them reason. Otherwise, this is quite implausible that someone did this to people intentionally. The people who review your cases don't even know these people for the most part, if not in all cases, and think there's a grand conspiracy of data leakage, and that they've broken into databases and they've stolen this information. It is implausible. A conditional approval letter from October with a case on it, with the names of the people, and an ineligibility letter on the 30th of June, with the same signature block from the same official in USCIS. It's legit, unfortunately, folks. I'm sorry to break that news to you. God bless and be well.